Hello and welcome back to PSN News. I'm Emily Foley. With me tonight is Maddie Lamonica, the primary THON chair for Alpha Omicron Pi's THON committee and a dancer in THON 2023. Maddie, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, Emily.
Yep. So as a primary chair of a sorority's THON fundraising efforts, what are some of your responsibilities throughout the year?
Yeah, so as primary chair, it's kind of like a bit of an interesting position because I'm not really necessarily like planning like the fundraising that we do, but it's kind of like more of like a communication position. So like under me, there's 4 other THON chairs and they all have like their individual responsibilities. So like my main job is making sure that like they, don't have any questions and that like I kind of like understand what they're doing and keeping them like on track. And then on top of that, I'm also like the main kind of point of communication for like all of our like general members. So like I, send out emails every week kind of detailing like what's going on. And I like, it's kind of my job to like keep them in the loop and like make sure I'm like making aware of all the opportunities that are like coming up that are like THON related. And then additionally, I'm also like the main person that's in charge of communication between like our organization and then like internal THON. So like, like the THON captains and like committee members and liaisons and stuff. And so a lot of like what organizations have to do is like keep those people updated, like get certain things approved. Like there's a lot of like kind of behind the scenes, more like administration stuff. That's like kind of not really seen when you're just looking at like maybe just donor drive or like alt funds and like fundraisers and stuff. So like my job is to like make sure that like all of that communication is also up to date and that we're kind of like adhering to all of like THON's rules and regulations in terms of like fundraising.
Yeah, so a lot.
Yeah.
So on top of all those responsibilities, you also chose to dance this year.
I did, yeah.
What made you decide to dance?
I kind of felt like ever since I came to Penn State, like that was just something that I wanted to do. And it was more like, I decided kind of like many years ago that I wanted to be primary chair just because I knew like that was the way that I was going to be able to give the most amount of my time and effort like into AOII's THON. And like if I didn't do that, not that it would give me like the best shot of being chair or being dancer, but that like if I had given all my effort through as primary chair that like I most likely would be rewarded with a spot as a dancer when I was a senior as well. And so the past I think 4 or 5 primary chairs like for AOII have also been dancers. And so not to say that like if you were a primary chair and you didn't want to dance, you had to, but usually like our dancers are elected chairs and it's kind of like a thank you for like their work and like what they do kind of behind the scenes for everyone else.
Yeah. So how was dancing? Was it everything you thought it was going to be, or were there parts that kind of like surprised you?
Yeah, so like I actually spent all of THON last year like in the stands like the entire time. So like people will say like they do 46 in the stands. So like I did that and I thought that like when you're on the floor dancing, in comparison to that, it would be like a walk in the park because you have like the added support of like your DRCMs and you have like people coming to visit you and you have just like a bunch of room to like move around and like just like all this other stuff and like all of the food is 10 times better than like what they sell in the concourse, right? And so like I thought like compared to last year, it would be so easy and I was like totally surprised that like I thought it was like 10 times harder and I don't really know why. I think like a lot of it is probably like mental. So like when you're in the stands, like if something goes wrong or if you're really not feeling well, you can go home.
Yeah.
But like when you're on the floor and you're like representing, like 200 girls and they're like all watching you and hoping that you do great. Like if you are feeling just like a twinge of like anxiety or you feel like something might be wrong or you're not feeling well, like all of a sudden it's like, oh no, I don't want to get sent home. You're like really focused on like making sure you feel good. So like I kind of think there was like a bit of like a pressure, but like obviously like in terms of like, was everything I thought of. It was like amazing, obviously. I thought it was going to be maybe like a little bit easier kind of like on my body and stuff like that than it turned out being, but like I wouldn't have changed anything about my experience. Like even like being down there, like I'd been on the floor before like for other like passes when I've like had other friends dance and stuff like that, and just being down there doing it yourself is just unlike anything. Like I said, I was in the stands the whole time last year and it was still like a completely different experience. It was amazing.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. Like it sounds so cool. But so after dancing for all 46 hours, working all year, what was your reaction when you saw them lift the signs and the total was over $50 million?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, I think probably part of this could be attributed to like the sleep deprivation, but like I started weeping and I couldn't stop like pretty much for hours after, it felt like, because like even like I'm a senior, right? I don't know if I mentioned that. And so like even like my freshman year, my first year here, the total at THON, like the big grand total was 11.6 million. So like just to see in like my 4 years here as a student for like the organization to grow from like what was already like a crazy amount, like when I was a freshman to like then like in just 4 years we're raising like $4 or $5 million more. It just kind of felt like I just know so many people that like that aren't even in AOPI that like fundraise for their own orgs or like our captains, and like I just like it felt like such like a culminating moment for so many people, not just myself. And I just couldn't like, I mean, no matter what the number was, I would have probably had the same reaction. But like just to see like such a large jump from last year, especially just with like everything going on, you know, like since like COVID, like my sophomore year, THON was virtual, and like seeing the way we've bounced back after that is just like, like really unbelievable. It's been awesome.
It was so crazy. Yeah. I feel like the whole BJC just went like absolutely insane what happened.
I mean,
like, it was so nice.
That's like that's the reaction I was expecting, you know what I mean?
It was so good. So do you think you're going to take anything with you from your like THON experience as a dancer, as a chair, like with you throughout the rest of your life?
Yeah, I definitely think just because like through THON and like my 4 years, especially with AOPI, I've just gotten to know like our like Four Diamonds family so well, and like gained kind of like just a really different perspective on like how childhood cancer like really impacts like the whole family and like stuff like that. And so like while I've never had like thankfully any personal experiences with that, I feel like having that perspective like going on like through life, like I think is always something I'm going to carry with me. And I think also like a lot of Penn State people that are involved with THON will tell you that like it kind of does like instill like kind of like a sense of like wanting to give back. Yeah. And so like I know I was talking to you before we went on here about like I don't know what I'm going to do now, because like I spent so much of my time like pouring my energy into like making sure, you know, we did the best that we could this year for THON. And like not that like I can't go do that for any other cause, but like I still like have that kind of want to like give back. And like it's just such like a community-based thing that like I hope like, you know, in my adult life I'm able to find, you know, a similar outlet, whether it's like through like alumni THON things or like, you know, a different cause or something like that.
Yeah, it's like now that it's over, it's like what are you supposed to do?
I know, seriously, I'm still grappling with the fact, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see.
But do you have any advice for other students who want to dance sometime, like maybe next year in the future?
Yeah, like I would say like if you're in an org and you're like hoping to like get a dancer spot like for that org, like just like put yourself out there like as soon as you can. I know like for me, like in AOPI, like usually underclassmen can be THON chairs as well. So like my sophomore year, I was like our alternative fundraising chair for AOPI. And so like that kind of like put my name out there when I was you know, like just like I was younger. And so like that way when I was like running for primary, people had like seen, you know, what I'd done before, whatever. And if like maybe like I know people might feel like they're like say a senior and they really want to dance and they don't know like exactly where to go, like how to go about it. Like I know like a lot of people kind of forget about independent dancer couples. That's a really great like opportunity. I know like they're starting to like more people are starting to do it again. But like if you're interested in dancing, like you and one other person could, you know, just try to do it on your own. And I know so many people who have done that, and it's so like especially gratifying to like know that like that was just you and one other person that kind of got your spot. Obviously I have like 200 girls that like help me fundraise, you know what I mean? And like if you are dancing, like my best advice is just to like I would say like live in the moment while you're doing it. Like even like it was only 3 days ago and I already like looked through my phone and I have like over 1,000 pictures, and I just wish I had like 1,000 or like 2,000 more, because like I think again like the sleep deprivation, like I don't remember much, like I don't remember much of the details. So like I think like even if you're not dancing, like if you're gonna be there for a while, I mean especially like this is my last, you know, THON as a student, so like just taking it all in and not like, you know, trying to think about like this small things like how your feet hurt or like, you know, anything like that. So
no, that's amazing. Well, congratulations on a job
so
well done this weekend and everything, but that's all the time we have today.
Okay, yeah, of course. Thank you.
Up next, Malia and Cameron will bring the latest news from across the nation. Stay tuned.